Hey guys, welcome to Home Sweet Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom to one. And in today's video, I'm going to give you a flip through of one of the newer units from Gather Round Homeschool. This is the transportation unit. This is a year 2 unit, and if you're new to Gather Round is a unit study approach to learning. It's going to include all of your subjects except for math. So you can teach your kiddos from preschool all the way to high school with these units, and all you need to add to it is math. So let's get into transportation. Now, I always purchase the one student digital. I have one child. I purchased upper elementary for him. He is 12 years old, and the upper elementary does, the suggestion is up until age 12, but you can look at some samples at Gather Round Homeschool's website. They have samples from every one of the levels, and you can kind of see where you want to place your child. If you buy the full digital bundle, you're going to get all of those levels. But if you buy the one student, you're going to choose the level that you need. And I just print this unit at home. I have the HP OfficeJet 3830, and I'm a part of the Insta Ink program, and I'll link that down below. And the print quality is amazing. To be able to print this from home, these always turn out really well. So this is the teacher's guide. I'm just going to flip you through just a little bit of it. So you're going to have a lesson planner at the front, and you can use that any way that you like to. As you can see, I've already started some planning on these pages. You also have a place for a list and some notes, and here I just wrote down, like, the writing project for transportation is they're going to be writing a story and learning about story elements. I write down what we're going to do for grammar, or what the grammar is in the unit, and then just some other information, so it's like, don't forget. Adventures and a shopping list. Here is the suggested book list. If you're new to this, these are just suggestions. You do not have to buy them or check them all out. You actually don't need any of these to be able to complete the unit. These are just some extras if you want more reading, and they are leveled. So that's very helpful. We have our table of contents. So let's look at that again so that you can get an idea of what your child will be learning. So you have the story of transportation, you have on the farm, on the water, under the ground, on the sand, in the military, no more stairs, the world's supercars, in the air, in the cold, on the tracks, in outer space, animal power, on nothing, in an emergency, at the construction site. You got to see this. On the current, under the water, and most expensive trips in the world. So a lot of exciting things. Now I want to say, when I printed this, I don't know what has been wrong. I don't know if it was the weather. I don't know what was going on, or if I just wasn't being very patient. I just had a little bit of issues printing this day, and I think it's because I printed some things out of the appendix first, and then I printed some things up at the front, and I didn't just hit print. So word to the wise, just hit print. Don't try to take things and move them around. It was quite complicated for me that day. So I do apologize if you see some blank pages. It's because I printed some things at different times. So if you're new, they do all start with a prayer at the beginning of the lesson, and I love that. So you're just going to read this to your child. There is a place for an activity break, a quick pause. This is all about the story of transportation. What I love about this unit is at the end of each lesson, there is a life skill. And these range from planning a trip to knowing how to change a tire, all kinds of different life skills. And I was really blown away by the fact that they put one at the end of every lesson. Also, you're going to have your day at a glance to let you know what everybody's working on. And if there is an answer key, they will put it there. Here's lesson 2. So this is on the farm. There's your prayer. You have a pit stop, another pit stop, some things to think about. And then here's your life skill again. This is understanding the difference between gasoline and diesel, because that's a life skill that could save your engine. So these are some just simple things that your kids need to know. Let's look at lesson 3, and then we'll go to a lesson further in the back. This one's on the water, transportation on the water. You do have another pit stop. This talks about trade and exploration. something you could look up. So immigration is talked about throughout this. So that's here in this lesson. And then you have another life skill. Now let's flip to the back to look at another lesson. So this is all the way at lesson 13. This is about animal power. And all the lessons are kind of set up in this way where you have some pages to read. You do have some pit stops and another life skill with your data glance. Do know that if the reading gets long for your child, you can certainly stop and take breaks. Do some of the notebooking pages, watch some videos or some hands-on activities. You do not have to read this straight through. And let's go back to, oh, this one looks really cool. A day at the construction site here. So you have your prayer, construction careers, the world's biggest vehicle, the world's largest dump truck, all kinds of great information for those kids that love construction vehicles. And your life skill here is to tackle an indoor-outdoor project that requires manual labor. So that's what this one looks like. I don't know if, let me see if I printed. So they do come with an appendix, and you want to make sure that you check that out, especially if you have the digital. You want to scroll down so you get to the appendix. And back there, there's a map. And that's all that I printed. I'm not really sure if there was more stuff in there. A lot of times I'll print that out and put it in my son's book, or it's something that I'm like, I'm not going to print that at all. So just make sure you go and check out the appendix. So that is what the teacher's guide looks like. I'm going to show you what I did with my sons, and I think this is why I ran into some trouble, because I kind of set up his notebook a little bit differently this time than I normally did. So he's in upper elementary. He's technically a 6th grader. If he was in school, he would be in 6th grade, but upper elementary is a perfect fit for him. So if you're new, the seat work, I love. This is a year 2 thing, and I love it. You can do this a variety of ways. I just print the seat work. At the beginning of the week, I'm going to give him a pre-test. Whatever he misses, that's what we practice. We do not practice all the words, because if he already knows them, that seems very redundant. So as you can see, these are the ones that he missed because I've already given him this pre-test. So we will practice these 3 for the rest of the week. You also have some character training on here. Today's schedule, they have a checklist. A lot of parents are like, well, how do we use this? You can use your own spiral notebook. A lot of people copy enough pages for the whole week. It's really up to you. We practice on something that used to be called Spelling City, but is now Vocabulary A to Z. I just input his words and he practices on there. There's actually ideas in the appendix for how to practice spelling, so make sure you check those out. So this is what the back looks like, so they can do their copy work. You have a schedule if you want to fill that out, a character trait, and a place to nature journal. We don't use all of that. We really just use the spelling words. Then I went ahead and printed the grammar right behind it. So year 2, the grammar is laid out in day 1, day 2, and day 3, and there are reminders to come back and finish that grammar. So I went ahead and put all the seat work and all the grammar up in the front. So I can see that we're working on adjectives in this unit. So more adjectives, things that are overused, that's a good skill. So they do, what I like about it is they have to fix it, they have to practice it, and then they have to apply it. So I really like that. So up at the front of his notebook is where I've put all of his seat work and all of his grammar for the entire unit. And then I just made these tabs just using some cardstock and my Pro-Click hole punch. So that's all of his grammar. And then this is where I ran into the problem, because I wanted all the writing to be together. In the transportation unit, they are going to work on writing every single day, just learning little bitty pieces that they need to help them write a short story. And I wanted it to all be together. So that's where I ran into my printing problem. So it's not anything to do with Gather Round. It was a user problem and the way that I tried to print it out. So all of this section is each lesson's writing. So you're working on characters for the first couple of lessons, learning how to describe characters. This was something from the appendix. Because I knew it went with that lesson, I wanted to go ahead and put it there so I would have it that day. As you can see, it tells you right here, you know, go to the appendix and get those pictures. So I have it already in there. Lesson 4, they're working on characters again. Then you start working on settings. So you're working on all those story elements. You also are going to need this adjective list from the back in the appendix with lesson 7, so I went ahead and put it there. You could also just leave this out. You wouldn't have to put it in the notebook. And then you're going to work on some reading comprehension. Then you need your adverb list from the back, so I went ahead and put that here. You're playing a game. You're working on your writing project again. Then from this one, this is reading comprehension, and this is the story that you need from the appendix. So I went ahead and put that there. Then we have sequencing, and so you need these stories for lesson 14, and you need this story map. And all of that was in the appendix, and I would just rather have it right here in my son's notebook so that we can use it. That's the great thing about having the digital, is you can move things around if you want to, and I did that with this unit completely. And then here's the stuff for the writing project. So it's all right there together, so we don't have to look for it. And then I just made another tab, and now we're into the actual lessons. And so you've got the same table of contents as the teacher guide, and then we have our lessons. So if you see blank pages, it's because I did pull the writing project out and put it up at the front. So this is what your notebook page looks like. And then you have your science lesson. This is your Bible. It's about perseverance. And then you see I have a blank page because I did pull that writing lesson out. Here's your notebooking page for 2. So it looks like they're getting to learn how to draw a lot in this one. So I really like that. You're going to write some facts you learned. Here you're talking about horsepower, harvesting wheat. There is an optional activity to make your own bread. This is about posture. And then you're notebooking for lesson 3. You're drawing something. You have something about water displacement, how to set a world record. That's going to be a lot of fun. And this talks about immigration. And here we'll look at lesson 4, and then we'll go further in the book. So this is what 4 looks like: counterbalance, growing cities, and the underground church. So now let's go to lesson 12. So lesson 12, we're learning how to draw again. I've noticed that is on every notebooking page. You're talking about SpaceX. You're talking about treaties. Make your own rocket. That's going to be a lot of fun. Here's 13. So in this one, we're not drawing. We're mapping locations and talking about different animals. We're talking about force on both of these pages. That looks like a lot of fun. And you're talking about pets. So training animals, how they're trained, and what do they do. This is 14. You're making your own hovercraft. Pros and cons. Creating a comic. So here's some extra art and writing. And then let's go to lesson 18. So we're going to draw this electric car. We're going to learn about renewable energy and circuits and solar power. So lots of really fun stuff. And then in the back here of his, he needed these maps. So this came from the appendix. And then I forgot to show this, but there is a certificate at the end that you can give your child when you're finished. And then I put the scope and sequence. It doesn't come in the back like this, but I did put this back here because I like to keep all of our units when we finish them, and I like to have the scope and sequence. So you've got your Bible, your copy work passages, your language arts, all the spelling words, modes of transportation that you're covering, health, art, history, social studies. Look at all the geography, all the science, and all the life skills. So you're covering a ton in this unit. It's going to be so much fun. So if you have any questions about Gather Round Homeschool or the transportation unit, just put them down in the comments below. I would love to talk to you about it. Hit that subscribe button if you're interested in homeschooling videos and homeschooling content, because I share day in the life videos and flip throughs and all kinds of fun things. So make sure you hit subscribe and like, and as always, thank you so much for watching.